Whatever. We'll talk about it another time. I did write a lot of it down though, but yeah. We'll talk about
Well,
another time.
back to Koji though, because I feel probably gonna be the last
Yeah.
topic, unless it's only I don't know how far in we are, but
Go ahead.
let's see. Oh, actually, we're basically at 5 hours. Let's finish with this topic though. So keep going, Koji.
Okay. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, you were going, so keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Play around. Well, that was the end of the topic.
Okay,
right?
let's this other one.
That was everything.
Just as Kawaki switch from hating his car.
okay, sure. So, aside from Koji, so just as Kawaki switched from hating his karma to embracing it and shifting that hatred to Otsutsuki, which is very similar to what Sasuke was doing when he shifted his hatred from Itachi to Konoha after learning the truth. Similarly, is Kawaki going to do this again? So will Kawaki shift his hatred from the Otsutsuki, which is where it currently is, from the karma to the Otsutsuki? Is he going to shift it to the Shinobi in the future? Before I explain why, elaborate on that, give an example or theory or anything. What do you think? Do you think that will happen or will that not happen? Whether it's to the Shinobi or not, will he shift his hatred from the Otsutsuki to something else?
I think a lot of that very likely might happen. But when you say embrace the Otsutsuki, though, part of that depends on what you mean, because he's definitely going to embrace his Otsutsuki, but I don't think he's going to be buddy with Momoshiki or anything. I don't think that'll ever happen.
No, I don't think so either. But like, I'm thinking of the same line of like how he embraced his karma seal, because that's a part of him.
Yeah, so he'll do that with the Otsutsuki-ness, I think, and then he'll either shift his hatred towards Shinobi or just chakra in general, which will include Shinobi and Otsutsuki. I'd say one or the other, probably.
Yeah. I could imagine if they introduce new, nice Otsutsuki at that point of the story, Kawaki can realize that and just not want to kill them.
Well, then why would he shift his hatred to Shinobi is the question from there, but...
Yeah, his Shinobi ideology, they'll just play with something. Or what would be funny is if the Shinobi try and kill that Otsutsuki, and he's trying to defend that Otsutsuki.
Yeah. What if that Otsutsuki is the Akabi Otsutsuki that they set up? Like, what if she just is a nice Otsutsuki? And that
that'd be crazy.
And the Shinobi
trying to kill her. I mean, they got it set up.
Yeah, exactly.
That could work on her.
They got it I mean, regardless if she's a nice Otsutsuki or like evil in the end, like they have the setup for her to be one.
And I know the problem here is that I feel like they kind of can't do this because this feels end game with he's already accepted, atoned, whatever, his own self-righteous punishment that he is going to die at the end of this journey because he's Otsutsuki's to atone to Naruto once he unseals Naruto, once he kills Boruto. Because he's Otsutsuki, he'll die too. I feel like they can't go against that. The problem is, they've already done the craziest, most unfathomable thing that I thought was impossible for Kawaki in the first place. He said he wanted to die because of the karma seal. If he gets the karma seal again, he'd rather die. He'd rather be dead than to have the karma seal. You know, the thing he accepted in the next arc. And even just the idea of getting to the flash forward scene, again, coming out of the Ishiki arc, I thought there was no way. It was like impossible. That must have just been Ishiki took over Kawaki's body or something. That couldn't be the Kawaki I know. It's impossible.
Yeah.
They did it.
So
they got to a change.
Of course, embrace, what does that mean? You could argue he's already embraced himself as Sasuke, except for the fact that he's inconsistent, wishy-washy. He embraces the one chapter, then goes against it the next chapter. But ignoring that,
well,
you could argue he's embraced it. That's why he's willing to die.
That. Yeah. The problem is, I feel like because they keep just rubbing it in our face that doesn't seem to be the case with chapter 2, the claw grime saying Otsutsuki and his reaction there. And then in particular, the one thing that stands out above the rest, leagues and bounds, is Sarada calling him out on his hypocrisy Kawaki, you're Otsutsuki too. And Kawaki's just shook. He just doesn't know how to respond. He's stunned silent.
Well,
Like, oh,
and
okay.
bouncing off that, he doesn't agree. He clarifies, I'm an Otsutsuki killing Otsutsuki, making him like different.
Yeah. Like, it feels like they're just rubbing it in our face with how obvious of a thing they're trying to point out. Not that they're saying that they're going to go in any direction, but that they want us to take note of this for a very important reason in the future.
Yeah.
What would that be? I'm assuming it's this. So I feel like he's going to have some sort of shift or change at some point. Maybe it has to do with the Amado limiters as well. I don't know. But I could totally see him doing that.
I agree. And then you have this other part. Is this what the narrative of the Shinju will eventually serve?
That's a separate topic as well. But we could do that as well. Might as well.
Oh, well,
so, yeah.
The first question doesn't make sense without context. Is that
okay? We'll go into this one too. It's the same thing. Sure. Okay. Is that what the narrative of the Shinju will eventually serve? Will code play into that, or the antithesis of that idea, or play a role similar to Kabuto in comparison? So what I'm getting at, basically, is what's the point of the Shinju in terms of the narrative for the A story? Because the B story, the only reason B story exists in any media ever, this includes sitcoms, this includes dramas, movies, anything, is that it directly serves the A story. Same for the C story, same for the D story. It all comes back to the A story to support it. The A story is about Boruto versus Kawaki right now. What's the point of the Shinju? It has to be to assist Boruto or Kawaki in some regard. So far, what it has done is it's led to the team up. It made Kawaki realize he's weak, etc., etc. So it's already worked in that regard. But I feel like it can serve as like a vehicle to Kawaki coming to his ideology of Shinobi, because it's going to make him realize something about the Otsutsuki in order to help him shift his...
The two first things that come to mind would be, one, some sort of well, I'll say three. One, it'll be branching, but the revelation about Otsutsuki / Ten Tails as a result of these Shinju shenanigans, and then how that either plays into Amado or just his feelings on the Otsutsuki in general. The second, more narrative-y, would be the identity stuff, to where through mainly Jura probably's dialogue and actions in his development, and how that compares and contrasts with Kawaki and Boruto with their similar identity themes, probably do something with that. For Kawaki and Boruto, it's about the rejection of their Shinobi-ness and Otsutsuki-ness. Jura is a little bit different, but you can use the Shinju to facilitate some of those things. I would assume both aspects would be there.
Exactly.
At least I would want it to
For
be.
something like this is a much bigger idea. You got to think broadly on this one as a writer. So you can't just think of the plot. Oh, of course they're focused on their identity. They were just born. They should focus on their identity. They don't know who they are yet.
Yeah,
outside of the plot doesn't matter. I'm not specific whatever nonsense. And I'm not talking about the story either. The themes that the Shinju are portraying. You got to think outside of the characters themselves. What do the Shinju pursuing identity have to do with Boruto and Kawaki? What statement are they going to make to change or influence Boruto or Kawaki in that regard? Identity is a thing being brought up. The Shinju are pursuing it. Boruto and Kawaki have to be affected by that. So what statement or direction are they going to go in?
The best comparison
I do Kabuto as a comparison, but
is the Chimera Ants. So
that works.
The identity stuff with each and every one of the Chimera Ants, the mainly the Royal Guard Meruem, how does that affect mainly Gon, but also the other characters? A fuck ton, actually. So, for example, with Pito, her development, in the way she cares for Komugi / Meruem, has a traumatic anger effect on Gon when they're having that little standoff there, just as a brief example. And obviously they have like the inverse parallel thing with Meruem and Gon, but even though they don't meet each other. But the point is, it does affect him a lot. Just the fact that they are behaving the way they are. So you should do, and they really should do a lot of, considering how many freaking similarities there are with the first four Shinju and the Relic Guard. They really should do this here too. It's just like like I said, I haven't made the video yet, but I plan to make a video for at least each one or all together, depending on how long it is. But like, there's so much there that I don't know if he's intentionally doing this or not.
Yeah. Well, a couple of comparisons. I can work in backwards order if this helps, but I'd say so this applies to Kabuto in the work. Plot-wise, it makes sense. As it should, the plot and the story should intertwine. It should make sense in that regard. And the story, it makes sense for Kabuto as his character, his development, his end goal, his conclusion. Everything about Kabuto, his resolution, speaks in this regard. Regardless of that, they had to have had Sasuke see that for Sasuke to get what he gets from seeing Kabuto and Itachi's conflict and the resolution thereof.
And then conversely, that's Naruto is Oodie killing Kakashi. Like,
yes, working backwards, the same applies for Gaara. Obviously, it makes sense in the plot for Gaara to be that way. He's the one tells Jinchuriki all his life. He's been hated, blah, blah, blah. For the story, it makes sense for Gaara's character leading up to that point as well. But then also, not only for Naruto to see that, specifically for Sasuke to see Naruto's growth in response to Gaara.
Yeah.
And then likewise, this is even more obvious in the Land of Waves. Yes, plot-wise, everything makes sense with Zabuza and Haku. Story-wise, obviously, that's a great story being told from Zabuza and Haku. It's the impact that it has on Naruto to see Zabuza and Haku's end. And it's insurmountable what that does for Naruto going forward the rest of the story.
Like the
obviously,
story, like
I don't
the
need
horror
to say
literally mentions this exact match. Kakashi's
the whole story is built on this foundation in the first place. The fact that Naruto saw Zabuza and Haku and what they were portraying.
Yeah, and they make several callbacks to it to really rub it in your face.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't even need to make the callbacks because the whole foundation is built off of that in the first place. Like, whether they call back to it or not, it's still built off of that. It's, like, very much so important for Naruto going forward, just as a character for the A story. But the fact that Sasuke doesn't see it as well. But yeah. So, anyways... So, what do you think Code will play a role in this regard when it comes to the Shinju? Do you think he will be an antithesis? Do you think he'll be similar to Kawaki? Will he be like a Kabuto to Orochimaru? He's like the aftermath, the final villain after the Shinju.
I've always, for a lot of things, there's a lot of similarities with Code and Kabuto. Code and Madara as well in terms of one aspect, but Kabuto does the same thing, so it's really Code and Kabuto will be the biggest one. But that being said, there is a tricky thing. If you want to make the comparison with like Sasuke seeing Kabuto and Naruto seeing Obito, well, okay, if Kawaki, I guess, sees Code, then who's Boruto seeing? Is he seeing Koji? Is he seeing Jura? Like, who's the other side of it?
Well, that was a little bit of a different guard. I was using Kabuto as one example to get my point across, just like how you're using the Chimera Ants. It's the same as the Zabuza example, the same as the Gar example. This is just asking about Code differently.
But either way, Code and Kawaki are the ones who were in parallels. So I feel like they're either going to see something different. They're going to do something similar but different. The question is exactly what it will be. I do see Code continuing to be like Kabuto, though.
That's funny, yeah. I don't think Boruto is going to gain something great moving forwards from the Shinju. Rather, I do think the Shinju's purpose is for Kawaki and Code. Kawaki obviously
they made that clear in the interviews that this is going to be a lot of Kawaki development. Boruto kind of just skips over it. Bad, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's more going to be Kawaki.
Look, the question is, what will Code gain from it? Will it be similar to Kawaki? Will it be dynamically opposite, different,
Maybe,
whatever from Kawaki? Is it going to be some other thing that Kawaki can
maybe,
see later? Is this going to be Code's end?
well, let me know what you think about
Okay.
this. We've already discussed like Koji and the Shinju being like antitheses of each other. So if Code, as he's going
Hmm.
after, or his accomplice, which is Koji, something with his interaction with Koji can, and then meanwhile it's juxtaposed with Kawaki's interaction with probably Jira, like an actual interaction this time maybe. It could be another Shinju, but I just feel like Jira is the best one for him. Nobody else feels right, so they could do something there, I guess.
I mean, Kawaki and Code basically start in the same place and they're walking opposite paths right now. I'd really argue the only reason is because Code was told that the Otsutsuki are God.
Yeah, we still need to learn that aspect of him.
Because I feel like Code worships, but I don't think Code is very religious. Like, I feel like Code latched on to the Otsutsuki as God in the same way Kawaki latched onto Naruto as, like, a savior or
Yeah, they
whatever.
just need to explain why he latched onto the Asusuki as a savior.
Yes.
Like, what's the reason? Because
So
the
I feel like if
reason
you
matters.
reversed the roles, yeah, if you reversed the roles and Code just had the Black Karma and was on that air blimp and was found by Konoha and went back to Konoha and had to live with Naruto, as ridiculous as it sounds, I feel like the exact same thing could have happened. You
And
know,
that's what it feels like they
going
want to
with the
do.
assumption that Code never knew that the Otsutsuki was like God,
Yeah.
but you
And
still
I feel
keep
like
that
that is the
characterization.
idea so far from what they've set up.
Hmm.
Because they've done it again and again, basically saying Code and Kawaki are the same. This a different
Yeah.
circumstance we don't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which we need to know eventually. Which hopefully
Um.
I'd like to think we
Eventually.
would get in the Code Arc 2.0 where he's targeting Kashi and Goji. I would like to think we get it then.
Code arc that we're never gonna get.
Yeah. At this rate.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Anyways, the
because you gotta
last part
remember
of this is I
Ichimoto
think
wants a rational villain, so he doesn't want it to be like Code to have a reason to be this
God.
way.
Yeah. It's a problem, bro. The last part of this, I'd argue, is probably the most important for tying Boruto back into Naruto. Because as we know, Boruto's doing original themes, its own things, unique stuff, but it's also continuing to play off of and develop the continuous themes from Naruto itself, such as our Shinobi tools, what are tools, etc., etc. So I think, in particular, especially if they play with the idea that there can never truly be peace in the Shinobi world and that Shinobi are the problem, etc., etc., going with that whole like Madara ideology from the War Arc or Obito or whatever you want to say, pain, even cycle of hatred. If you just want to play with that aspect, that concept, that theme, not bringing Madara back or anything, I'm not saying that, but if you want to play with that theme, that
Narratively,
could be
though.
really cool
Yeah.
for Kawaki to play with. Because he will realize that, oh, if I kill the Otsutsuki, then Naruto isn't just in a safe world. No, this world itself is dangerous and a threat to Naruto. I need to change or even get rid of the world for Naruto to truly be safe.
No, that would work. And that would make sense with his dialogue
Yeah.
in the flash forward scene. The question is just, what way are they going to play it? Because the way you just said it, basically, oh, well, Naruto's still not safe until I kill all Shinobi kind of mindset. That feels like something they would do. The whole, there
Yeah.
can never be true peace, it doesn't seem like Kawaki gives a shit about any of that. So if they do that, that just feels off at this point. It also doesn't feel like Ikimoto's work.
I think
But
they
I could see
do it because, as
the
I say here at
absurd,
the end,
over the top protecting of Naruto thing. Yeah, she would do that.
yeah, if they do this as if Kawaki's like coming to this realization for the first time and he just doesn't think back, then it's a problem. I think if someone like tells this to Kawaki or if Kawaki comes to some sort of idea, he'll easily be able to connect this to his own life and all its own experiences. The fact that Kawaki's childhood was corrupted during the era of peace is paradoxical. Kawaki can point that out. Kawaki has a point there.
Yeah, but does not feel like Ikimoto's writing to you.
Which is the problem.
No.
But I think to get to the Shinobi ideology that we see in the flash forward scene, because that's what they're talking about for the most part. Like, they don't even mention Otsutsuki. They're talking about the Shinobi era. How do we get to that? To that in the plot, and a Kawaki who would be talking about that regardless of the plot.
Yeah.
I think doing the Shinju would be the best way, and then playing off the Shinju, it would be the themes at the end of Naruto Shippuden with Madara and all that we just talked about. I think that would be the best way of going about it, personally. And if they do that, not only will I like that as, again, a great continuation of the Boruto franchise off of Naruto, but also I will backpedal some of what I've said in critique of the Shinju. I think that would make them worthy of their existence inherently, if that's the vehicle that they're going for. A lot of it was a lot of fluff. You could just hyper condense a lot of the Shinju in that case, but whatever works.
Yeah, I definitely say that'd be a good way to do it. I don't think it's the only good way. Off the top of my head, I don't have any examples, but I
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're gonna do with that. You know,
Which is the
like
problem.
it's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. God. Okay.